There are a million reasons why I love flea markets. You can find one-of-a-kind home furnishings, beautiful gifts, and even unearth buried treasure. But one reason I'm loving flea markets even more these days is that they remind me about pastimes that, frankly, I'd like to keep alive. Everybody today has an e-reader and wants to be able to read a book on their phone or their Kindle or device. I still like to hold a book in my hand. And so I come to flea markets and find books for pennies on the dollar. I always say, if you don't come to a flea market and learn something, you're not really paying attention. Buy a vintage book, save a tree, save your eyes from looking at a handheld device, and learn something.
These are great reads.
I love a vintage book because not only would I want to read this, but the way a vintage book looks and feels in your hand, it automatically says, slow down, put your phone away, open up, take a look inside, look at the beautiful end papers. I mean, it's incredible. It's a work of art, really.
I always love to go to, when I have a flight or airplane, having a wonderful old book myself, iPhone.
Hey, Bob.
How you doing?
I'm well, how are you?
Good, doing well.
I'm digging your ephemera.
Great.
I love buying projects for my mother, and I saw that you have a World War II knitting book, so I thought she could knit me a 1940 sweater for Christmas. I would buy a sweater like this if it was on sale new, but where are you going to find one?
Here you go, olive drab.
They're amazing.
Beautiful sweaters to knit for the servicemen overseas at the time.
Yeah, I think it's such a great piece of history about what was going on the home front.
Yes.
People trying to do their part. I've been known to pop a button or two when I'm on the road, and I always travel with a sewing kit, but I don't really want one that came from a 99-cent store. I want a vintage sewing kit, and I just found one that's Navy issued with the original scissors and all of the original accoutrements. It's $15, and I have to have it. I always say that if you want to learn about history, get involved with antiques and vintage items. And that never rings more true than with vintage cameras.
You got to set the aperture and you got to set the shutter speed. Because if not, you're not going to get the depth of field and you're not going to know what photography is.
Another great thing about flea markets is that sometimes they spark an interest in a new hobby. I'm surrounded by mixing bowls. Maybe I'll start baking. All you youngsters out there, this is called a typewriter. It's how I learned how to type, and so many people who went before me. Now, people are realizing that not only are these a piece of history, they look incredibly interesting when placed out in a setting on a desk or a table. And I love this one. My guess is it's probably from the 1940s. And somebody probably learned how to type all the letters of the alphabet by typing "the quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog." Or my mother's favorite, "all good men must come to the aid of their country." I guarantee you, if you pull out a record, plop it in the record player, your guests will be impressed. So the next time you go to a flea market, think about vintage pastimes. There was a whole world around us before there were cell phones, computers, and devices of any kind. And these pastimes often foster interactivity and help you take a break from the hectic pace of this world.